Ladies and gentlemen, once again, warm welcome to this YouTube channel where we are getting and grabbing powerful statements that can change our lives. We already have some testimonies that it is working, and I encourage you to grab yours and grow together with everyone in this community. Today, I have a very good topic talking about 7 tips that can help you to change your life, to change your habit in only 7 days. You are welcome in our episode. Yes, you heard that right. 1 week. I know it sounds almost too good to be true, but I promise you, these are not just your run of mill tips that you have heard everywhere. These are real, raw, and honest habits that I personally integrated into my daily routine. I went through the struggle, the breakthrough, and the triumph, and the transformation I experienced was nothing short of amazing. I cannot wait to share it with you because I have had such a profound impact on my life, and I believe they can do the same for you. Whether you are looking for a boost of your productivity, improve your mental health, or just make a positive change in your everyday life, this habit can help you get there. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive right in. Trust me, you will not stick around until the end because these habits aren't just theoretical, they are practical, actionable steps that you can start implementing today. Plus, I will share some personal stories and insights from my own journey, giving you a raw and honest look at how these habits worked for me. Habit 1: waking early. The first habit that changed my life was waking up early. Now, let me be completely honest with you. I was never a morning person. My bed was my best friend, and I used to hit the snooze button more than that I can count. Morning were a chaotic rush, and I often felt like I was starting my day on the wrong foot. But I decided to give waking up early shot, and let me tell you, it was a game changer. I started by setting my alarm for 5 a.m. The first few days were brutal. I remember dragging myself out of a bed, feeling groggy, and wondering if this was really worth it. But I pushed through, and by the third day, something incredible started to happen. When everything was calm and peaceful, with this extra hour in the morning, I began to appreciate the quiet and the stillness of the early morning hours. There was something almost magical about being up before the rest of the world, when everything was calm and peaceful. With these extra hours in the morning, I found time for things I never seemed to have time for before. I started my day with a bit of light exercise, nothing too intense, just some stretching or short jog around the neighborhood. This not only wake up me, but also energize me for the rest of the day. I also spend some time meditating and setting my intention for the day. These few moments of mindfulness made a huge difference in my overall mindset and productivity. Another surprising benefit of waking up early was that I no longer felt rushed. I had ample time to enjoy a healthy breakfast, sip my coffee slowly, and plan out my day. This unrushed start set a positive tone for the entire day. I was more organized, less stressed, and felt a greater sense of control over my time. I made a commitment to move my body every single day for a week, and the result was incredible. I started small, just 20 minutes a day, mixing up between yoga, jogging, stretching, training. I want to keep it interesting so I wouldn't get bored and quit halfway through. The first few days were tough. My muscles were sore and I felt exhausted. But I reminded myself why I was doing this, to feel better both physically and mentally. By the fourth day, something amazing happened. I woke up feeling more energized. My mood had improved drastically. I was less irritable and more positive. I realized that those 20 minutes of exercise were not just about burning calories or building muscles. They were about giving myself time to focus on me, to release stress, and to boost my endorphins. One morning, I remember lacing up my sneak for a jog. It was a crisp, clear day, and I was ran felt a sense of freedom and clarity that I had not experienced for a long time. It was just me, open road, and my thought. That sense of connection to myself and the world around was me was truly empowering. I also started to see physical changes. My posture improved, I felt stronger, and I noticed a difference in my overall fitness. But the biggest change was in my mindset. Exercise became my time to disconnect from the world and reconnect with myself. It became a form of self care rather than chore. Another personal highlight was trying yoga for the first time. I was hesitant at first, thinking I wasn't flexible enough or that I wouldn't be real workout. But after a few sessions, I fell in love with it. Yoga taught me to be present, to breathe deeply, and to listen to my body. It was a transformative experience that went beyond the physical benefit. Incorporating daily exercise into my routine made me realize that taking care of my body directly impacted my mental health and overall happiness. It's not about being perfect, to pushing yourself to extremes. It's about finding a form of movement that you enjoy and making it a regular part of your life. So, if you are like I was and struggling to get started, my advice is to start small. Find something you enjoy, whether it's dancing, hiking, or even just brisk walk. Commit to just a few minutes and gradually build from there. Trust me, the benefit you will experience will be well worth the effort. It's a habit that has the power to change not just your body, but your entire outlook on life. The habit number three is journaling. Now, I used to think journaling was just for people who had the load of free time or were naturally introspective. I was skeptical. Who has time to sit down and write down about a day where there is so much going on? But 1 week of consistent journaling completely shifted my perspective, and it became a cornerstone of my personal growth. My journey started simple. Every night before bed, I dedicated just 10 minutes to journaling. I bought a plain notebook and a pen that felt comfortable in my hand. No fancy apps, no pressure to make it look pretty. Just me and my thoughts. The first night I stared at the blank page, unsure of what to write. But then I began with something basic: how my day went, what made me happy, and what I struggled with. As the day went by, I started to dive deeper. I wrote about my goals, my fears, my dreams, and even my insecurities. It was like having a conversation with myself. And that's when the magic happened. I began to notice patterns in my thoughts and behaviors. I realized that some of the things I worried about were completely out of my control. One night, I remember writing about a particularly stressful day at work. By putting my thoughts on paper, I was able to process my emotion better. I wrote about what specifically stressed me out, how it made me feel, and what I could do differently next time. This simple act of reflection helped me gain clarity and feel more in control of my emotions. Another powerful aspect of journaling was tracking my progress. I noted down small victories and milestones, no matter how minor they seemed. Looking back at these entries me with a sense of accomplishment and motivated me to keep pushing forward. For instance, I wrote about a presentation I was nervous about and how I prepared for it. Seeing my preparation process and the positive outcome documented in my journal was incredibly encouraging. I also started gratitude section. Every day I wrote down three things I was grateful for. This practice shifted my focus from what was lacking in my life to appreciate what I already had. It was a simple yet profound shift that brought more positive into my daily life. One particular memorable entry was about a random act of kindness I experienced. A stranger helped me when I was struggling with my grocery bags. Writing about this act of kindness not only made me feel grateful, but also inspired me to pay it forward. Through journaling, I discovered a lot about myself, my desire, my fears, my strength, and my weaknesses. It became a form of therapy. It provided a safe space without fear of judgment. If you've never tried this, I encourage you to try it. Don't worry about writing perfectly or having profound thoughts. Just write whatever comes to your mind. It could be a stream of consciousness, a recap of your day, or reflection on a specific event. Give yourself the freedom to express whatever you are feeling. You might be surprised at how much clarity and peace it brings into your life. Remember, it's not about what you are right. It's about the process of writing itself. Habit number four, mindful eating. This was a big one for me because, like many people, I used to eat on the go, barely paying attention to what I'm eating and how much I was consuming. My meals were often rushed and distracted affairs. Eat while scrolling through my phone or working on my laptop. I didn't realize how much this was affecting my overall well being. Mindful eating is all about paying full attention to the experience of eating and drinking, both inside and outside the body. It's about savoring each bite, noticing the flavor, textures, and even the sound of your food. I started by setting and scene for my table. I cleared my dining table, set a nice place for myself, and removed any distraction my phone, no TV, no laptop. It felt a bit strange at first to sit quietly with my meal, but it quickly became a calming ritual. I began each meal with a few deep breaths to center myself and bring my focus to the present moment. One of the first things I noticed was how much more I enjoyed my food. I took time to really taste and appreciate each bite. Food I had eaten hundreds of times before suddenly had a new delightful flavor and textures that I have never really noticed. For example, the crunch of French vegetables and the sweetness of ripe fruit became much more pronounced. It was like experiencing food in high definition. Another major change was how much more satisfied I felt after meals. By eating slowly and mindfully, I gave my body time to signal when it was full. This was a big shift for me, as I used to eat quickly and often ended up overeating. By paying attention to my hunger and fullness cues, I found that I naturally ate less and felt more satisfied. One memorable experience was with a simple bowl of oatmeal. Normally, I would not wolf it down without a second thought, but this time I took it slow, savoring the creamy texture and the subtle sweetness of the honey I dressed on top. It became a moment of gratitude and meaningful. That set a positive tone to the rest of my day. I also started to notice how different foods made me feel heavy. Processed food left me feel sluggish and bloated, while fresh foods make me feel energized and light. This awareness led me to make healthier choices naturally, without feeling deprived or restricted. Another aspect of mindful eating is being aware of the emotional connection we have with food. I started to recognize when I was eating out of boredom, stress, or emotion comfort rather than true hunger. This awareness was powerful. Instead of mindless snacking, I could address the underlying emotion. Maybe I need a break, some relaxation, or a chat with friends rather than a bag of chips. There was one particular evening when I had a craving for something to eat after dinner. Instead of automatically reaching for dessert, I paused and asked myself if I was truly hungry or just seeking a reward after a long day. I realized I was not actually hungry and opted for a warm cup of tea instead. It was a small victory that highlighted now my power in mindful eating. Incorporating mindful eating into my life was a transformative experience. It helped me to develop a healthier relationship with food, improved my digestion, and even enhanced my overall sense of well being. It's a habit that I've continued beyond that initial week, and I can't recommend it enough. If you are interested in trying mindful eating, start with just one meal a day. Sit down without distractions, take a few deep breaths, and savor each bite. Pay attention to the flavor, textures, and how the food makes you feel. You might be surprised by a simple practice can change your entire life of eating experience. It's a wonderful way to reconnect with your body and truly appreciate the nourishment that food provides. Habit 5: limiting screen time. This one was particularly challenging for me, and I suspect it might be for many of us as well. We live in a digital world, and it's so easy to get sucked into endless hours of scrolling through social media, being watching show and checking emails. But I realized that all this screen time was taking a toll on my mental health, my productivity, and even my sleep. So I decided to set some boundaries and see what happened. First, I set a daily limit of 1 hour on work-related screen time. This meant no mindless scrolling through Instagram, no endless YouTube marathons, and no late night TV bingers. It was tough at first. I would become so accustomed to filling every spare moment with screen time, but I knew I needed to make a change. The first thing I noticed was how much more time I had in my day. I didn't realize how much of time was being eaten by screen until I consciously limited it. With those extra hours, I found myself rediscovering old hobbies and interests that I had neglected. I picked up a book I had been meaning to read, started doodling and drawing again, and even tried my hand at cooking new recipes. One evening, instead of watching TV after dinner, I decided to take a walk in the park. The fresh air, the sounds of nature, and the simple acts of moving my body felt incredibly rejuvenating. It was a stark contrast to the usual screen-induced lethargy I felt. That walk became a cherished part of my daily routine, something I looked for and enjoyed immensely. Another significant change was in my sleep quality. I used to take my phone to bed, scrolling through social media or watching video until I felt sleepy. But this habit often left me feeling wired and restless. By limiting screen time, especially before bed, I found it much easier to wind down and fall asleep. I started bedtime routine that didn't involve screens, reading a physical book, meditating, or simply reflecting on my day. This change led to deeper, more restful sleep and made a huge difference in my overall energy levels. I also noticed improvement in my mental health. Without the constant barrage of news updates, social media comparison, and digital distractions, I felt less anxious and more present. I was more focused during conversation, more attentive to the people around me, and more engaged in my daily activities. It was like a fog had lifted, allowing me to see and experience life with more clarity. One particularly memorable day was when I spent an entire afternoon at a local cafe with just a notebook and a pen. I wrote down my thoughts, planned some goals, and even sketched a bit. It was such a peaceful and productive time, free from digital interruptions. I felt more connected to myself and my surroundings in a way that screens had never allowed. Of course, there was memorable and moments that I could sleep on the way. But each time I noticed myself reaching for new habits, I remind myself for the benefit that I was experiencing and redirected my focus to something for more fulfilling. Limiting screen time is not about completely eliminating technology from your life. It's about creating a healthier balance and being more intentional with your time. If you are feeling overwhelmed or disconnected, I encourage you to try setting some screen time boundaries. Start small, maybe with an hour less each day, and gradually increase it. Use that extra time to reconnect with yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you. You might be surprised at how much richer and more fulfilling life can be when you step away from screens and engage more with the real world. All right, everyone, that wraps up our journey through the 7 habits that dramatically changed my life within just a week. It's just been an incredible experience, not just implementing these habits, but also sharing them with you. Each of these habits has the power to create a significant positive change in your life. And I truly believe that if they could work for me, they can work for anyone. If you've been inspired by any of these habits, I encourage you to try them out for yourself. Start small, maybe with one habit, and see how it feels. Adjust according to what suits your lifestyle and needs. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's about making small, manageable changes that accumulates to substantial transformation over time. I would love to hear about your experiences. So please drop a comment below, sharing with habits you are thinking or adopting, or any question you might have about starting. Share it with us. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future content. We have lots more insight and tips coming your way that you want to miss. Sharing this video with friends or family who might benefit from these habits could also make a huge difference in their lives. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, small changes lead to big results. Let's keep evolving, growing, and let us turn our everyday routine in self-improvement and reach more. See you in next video. Stay awesome, everyone.